everyone. I'm John Skuris from the Show Me How podcast.
And I'm Stephanie Weber from the Show Me How podcast.
Thank you for joining us again today. And we're here to continue helping people learn more about real estate.
All kinds of real estate.
I was going to say that the objective is to teach people how to invest in real estate, but also how to buy their homes, their first-time homes, condos. It's a little bit of a broad swath, let's say.
Yeah.
So we focus on, I'm an expert in commercial, and so I'll lean in and give you some information on the commercial real estate industry. And Stephanie?
I have more experience in residential, but what I do know is what my dad always said is real estate's the only thing that appreciates consistently. So all kinds of real estate is important to know about. So
that's what we're here for today. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit more about this commercial real estate segment, which is very interesting. I think now is a really exciting time to be in commercial real estate for a lot of reasons. The market's starting to turn. It's moving from a big downswing. There's some headwinds for sure, but now's a good time to take a look at it and see if it's for you. So we're doing a short commercial series. This is part one. It's talking about your first small commercial investment, an office, a retail site, a storefront, or a little mini mall. Those are some of the options that you can really invest in for a little bit of money and get a big bang on your dollars. So we're trying to help people, basically residential real estate investors that are leveling up from a multifamily and want something new to do. It's a great way to go. Small business owners who maybe want to be owner and users and maybe want to get two places, their own and one that they'll rent out to somebody else.
Exactly.
And just curious first-time commercial buyers who want to learn a little bit more about the commercial industry.
Sounds good.
Yeah? All right.
Exciting.
So basically we're going to teach you guys a little bit about how to find real estate, how to evaluate if it's right for you, and how to navigate your first small commercial real estate deal with confidence. So we're going to give you some parameters from which you can look at them from a finance perspective, because it's very different than purchasing a multifamily or even a single family home.
Right.
All right. So getting into, the commercial real estate sector, you don't have to, think you need to be buying into a skyscraper and becoming a big commercial landlord. All you need is to have a little tenant that's paying their rent on time, and you're going to be able to go to the market, get your first investment going very easily.
Right.
You have steady income coming in. It's much easier than a residential, like a multifamily, because the leases tend to be longer.
Right. How long do they tend to be?
Well, 3 to 10 years is optimally what you want to get. The commercial lease, you definitely don't want to be under 3 years. There's tenant improvement allowances and different things we'll talk about that make it a little restrictive. So understand that.
Right.
Basically, we're going to use this episode to bridge from the duplex concept, triplex, etc., 4-flat, into what a storefront might look like for you. So we'll show you how a small commercial can scale your income and create a long-term stability for you as well.
That sounds, it is exciting because there's so many opportunities out there right now.
Yeah, and there are going to be more coming. So we're going to talk a little about what counts as small commercial for you, how you find these deals, where to find them, who's selling them, how to evaluate the existing leases that are in place, the tenants that are in place, and any kind of vacancy issues for the property and or the neighborhood.
Right.
Also, we'll do some math for you on what terms you must know. Cap rate is really a way that people value this type of real estate.
Right.
The type of lease. So leases, you have gross lease, modified gross lease, triple net lease. That's the one you really like. So we'll talk about that in a little more detail. And then tenant improvement, or a lot of people call it TI. So tenant improvement is the allowance that you give to your tenants.
To do what they need to do for their business.
To get the property into white box fashion, or from white box into what they're going to use it for.
Okay.
So if it's a hair salon or something like that, you might need to put in some plumbing. So you really got to consider, is my rent set up so that I'm going to make the money back on that?
Right.
A studio like we're in right now, very low tenant improvement allowance needed.
Right.
So maybe some window coverings, floor, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very low investment. And then we'll do a little case study for you on a scenario to show you a little model on how to adjust and look at a investment and see if it's profitable for you or not.
Sounds good.
So why don't you tell us about the myth of the week?
You want me to talk about commercial?
I want you to talk about the myth of the week.
Alrighty. Small commercial deals are everywhere. I think the myth of the week is commercial real estate is only for big time investors.
No, it is not. So there are plenty of different small units and different types of property available for small time commercial entry. They're everywhere. Think $200,000 to $600,000 range. It's really where we want to focus when you're getting started here. You know, storefronts or medical offices in a suburban environment are great. And I think our scenario later actually is a doctor's office.
Yeah.
That we get into. So, you know, looking at the neighborhoods, making sure they're safe. They generate great long-term cash flow, better than some flat units.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not considering if you're living in it, but just 1-to-1, the return on investment you'll get from a flat, you can exceed that from a good commercial property in a decent location that was bought correctly. So it's also far less turnover than a multifamily. So
Right.
multifamilies, you know, you may have tenants every 1 to 3 years swapping out, although I've had great tenants for 10 plus years. And that's a lot of work, and you have to refresh the units a lot.
Right.
With the retail or, you know, some, strip mall type place or an office, you may get tenants in there 3 to 5 years. You don't have to do anything, or even 10 if you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah, so it's great.
Well, we'll talk about the different types of tenants too as we go on.
Yeah, and the lease structures and what a great neighborhood looks like for them.
Sounds good.
All right, so what counts for small commercial? So again, we've talked about it a little bit. A retail shop, a little small retail place where somebody has a vape shop or, you know, something like that in their property. If those are condos, you could buy those. You could rent them out to these types of businesses, and you could get, you know, tremendous amount of revenue coming in pretty quick. All they need is white boxing typically, so those are ideal. It could be a little office condo. I was just looking at, what was it? I think it's 17 units up in a northern neighborhood in Highland Park. 17 units for sale, and they were cheap. I think it was $4.2 million for all these units.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's a lot of vacancies, like over 50% vacancy. So you're getting a good deal on these things, and if the market turns, or when it turns, you're going to be in great situation. But there's a lot of risk to them. Obviously, that's a different play than what we're talking about today. But actually, this guy will break down some of his units and sell them individually. So, you know, when you're looking, if you have a broker out there looking for you the right way, you have them looking correctly. Oh, look, let's talk to this guy. Maybe he'll break out a unit for you. Because
Right.
I have a customer who needs 2,000 square feet, and his partner needs 4,000, and we could buy a couple of his units alone. He was offering them for sale for 4.2, but we're talking about now carving them out, and so getting creative with the
With the
realtor
space.
and the owner and the spaces.
And then you talked about, I know that we had talked about it before we started recording, about the new salon studios where people are buying those.
Yeah, well,
renting.
actually, that's
Yeah.
a great example for this office condo. So,
Yeah.
you know, we've all seen it. I've seen it anyway, up in a neighborhood by us called Park Ridge. They took this, I guess it was
Retail space.
retail space, yeah. And they split it up into 10 little salons. I mean, they are micro. It's like, think co-working type spaces.
Yeah.
Like some are 600-800 square feet. And they carve them up, and these people will get long-term leases. But you have 8 long-term leases, which aren't that expensive for the people. So your default rate is probably going to be very low.
Right.
It just makes it work.
Right. And then you're maximizing the space instead of one big.
Well, it's a lot more tenants to deal with. So
Right.
again, but you're going to get a lot more rent out of it. You probably get, you know, instead of a 5 to 7 cap, when you split it up like that and get a lot more tenants, you probably get up to 10 or 12%.
That's
So
awesome.
you're getting high return, but you have more effort, right?
Right. But
On the flip side.
it's looking at it, the space in a different way.
And then medical offices, which are one of my favorite. They tend to be very stable. Doctors are very long-term thinking. They can't have disruption into their business, and moving is a big disruption.
Yeah.
They get founded, and they're in those positions. They stay there. You get a gynecologist, right? You want to stay with them, right?
Right.
You want everybody probing around your business, so you have one location.
Why? Why do we do that? Why do we do that?
It's a great example.
I know. Of course it is.
That doctor's
Yes,
not moving.
of course.
Yeah. Podiatrists, not such a big deal, but dentists, big deal.
Dentists are a good
right?
deal. Yeah.
You want to stay with your dentist. You don't want somebody else poking around your mouth. So you have these doctors, you get them in there, and really, you'll make a ton of money. They'll stay there for 20 years.
Yeah, especially when they're in like those areas where, it's repeat business because people go to the one in the area.
Strip mall, it's conveniently located. There's lots to go into these locations. We'll get into it now, I guess. So you want the neighborhood to be conducive. You want, you
Right.
don't want a lot of crime in the area, obviously. You want some good foot traffic, if you can have that. So you look at the walk score, things like that to make it better.
Exactly.
And again, there's a low entry price to get into these smaller units. That's one of the big draws for it, why it makes it a good option, versus a multifamily. So, multifamily, you're putting down, 20%
Right.
on a much bigger investment in many cases, especially with the retail prices or the residential prices the way they are today. Whereas, again, you could get you'll have a 25% down on a $200,000 to $600,000 investment. You can make that work pretty
Right.
easily. And then you get one, if it's a single tenant, you're good to go. Often you get long-term tenants again, and again, you get low maintenance leases, triple net. So those are really easy. They're easier than multifamily if you get the right
Absolutely.
tenants. That's huge. It's different financing and valuation models, so that's something to be aware of. It's not necessarily easier in that regard. The commercial market is very difficult, as we've been talking about in past episodes already. So that makes things a little bit harder. And they don't focus on your credit. So when you buy a home, they're going to look at
your credit score,
and your job and stuff like that. They don't do that so much with this commercial type properties. They're looking at the cap rate. They're looking at the lease. And they're not looking so much at comps in the area because it really doesn't matter. They're looking at vacancy rates and things like that.
Right.
So it's
that
a little
makes
bit
sense.
more business savvy, business focused, which I like. It's all about the numbers, which again is what I'm all about. So commercial versus residential, what are the differences? Commercial is use based. You are looking at who are the end users going to be here. Is this property going to be a salon? Is it set up as a salon? Now, that sounds great, but if your tenant comes in, doesn't need a salon, you have to remove all that plumbing, which costs $20,000 to put in.
Right.
So if you get, you want to look at it that way versus residential, which is, again, it's lifestyle based. You're looking at a little different situation. What age group are these people in? Are they fresh out of college? Are they used to moving a lot in and out of school? The younger they are, they move a lot more, it tends to be.
Yes, absolutely.
The older you get, the more fixed you want to be, really. So that's one big thing. Income focus versus, the credit rating of the tenant. So
Right.
it's all about the income, and it's always going to be about the income with this type of property. So you got to make sure it's going to make money from the get-go. And the other challenge, again, from a business perspective, you can do conventional loans, but no FHA loans, no VA loans. And you usually are, again, going to be 20-25% down. You're not going to get those 3 to 3.5% down loans.
Exactly. Or 1%, remember?
Or 1% with the special
So
deals.
is there any VA programs out there besides loans for VAs that want to buy commercial?
Not that I'm aware of. There very well could be, but I didn't really look into that deeply.
I was just throwing that out there.
There's FHA, there's small business loans.
Right.
That apply mostly, which we'll talk about a little bit.
Okay.
But that's a good question. We'll have to look into
And
that.
we'll look into that and just make sure, because, I know we're doing a lot for the vets, and just to make sure that if there is an opportunity for them,
Yeah.
that we look out for them.
So you can't own a multi-group, because I looked into this.
Yeah.
as a vet myself.
This is our producer, Mike.
So you can't get a commercial building unless you've been a landlord.
Oh, really?
Because of the multiple units.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Go say that. But if you've been a landlord, you can get a commercial building
Yeah. I think
with a VA loan?
Yeah. But if you haven't been, they want to see that you've had the experience running.
Interesting. So more stringent requirements, previous experience.
But residential is fine.
Yeah. Well, residential is what it's all about, really. It's getting housing for our vets and their
Okay,
families.
but if you like had a 2-flat, you could buy commercial. As long as you were a
Potentially.
landlord. Yeah.
Potentially. We'll
Okay.
verify all this, and we'll
Yeah. Okay.
notify it provide notification on the website exactly what goes into it. Thanks, Mike. So, where to find your first deal? So basically, again, LoopNet is the tool of choice for the market, but LoopNet's a nightmare. I get calls from people all the time on LoopNet. Oh, how much can I lease this for? And, blah, blah. But you'll be able to find properties initially. Their search functions are a little bit limited. I have CoStar, which owns LoopNet, which is the commercial version. And that's really, you
Just
need a
for
commercial
brokers,
broker.
though.
Yeah, it's only for brokers. So much more functionality. I can get very granular with the searches. I can pull all kinds of incredible reports to minutia that you don't even want to know. As a matter of fact, CoStar's one of their biggest issues is how many reports they have. Trying to figure out what report to pull because there's tremendous data available. It's just digging into their reports. They're an old system. They have great data, but leveraging it, you need a broker that's experienced that knows what to look for. Also, two other ones. So
yeah.
I love Crexy because I'm a software guy. I came out of the software industry. Working in a company called Altify many years ago that started kind of as the foundation of Salesforce.com. The owner of our company built that platform. So I love it. And Crexy is a very new platform. And they're like LoopNet. They only have so much function for the average person who's looking for free. From a broker perspective, the reporting's amazing. The dashboard and the interface is amazing. They just don't have the depth of data that CoStar has.
Now, do you, at the commercial level, have like private exclusive like we do at the residential where only brokers can see certain things that are coming out? They come out to you guys first, or is that not how it works?
Well, we have private network access for MLS, anybody that has the MLS.
Right.
But for CoStar, if you're not advertising at a certain level, you won't see stuff. It's buried. So we can help dig it up for you and find it.
Okay.
Because it's an advertising platform. So if you do the platinum advertising, you're going to be seeing the platinum because it's like $10,000 a month.
Okay.
So that may not be what's relevant to you, but you're going to see it because somebody paid to put it there.
Okay.
Right. So, and then I have a lot of silvers, and if somebody wants to bump it up to a gold, that'll make sure it gets pushed to the front. But again, it's not necessarily what people are looking for on LoopNet. It's what I'm paying to push in front of you.
Okay.
What else? MLS. So you could use the MLS. It filters by usage. You could do retail, industrial, things like that, office. Also by zoning. So it does some zoning. Obviously, CoStar is far better than that.
Right.
And LoopNet, I think, has some functionality, but I don't, frankly, use it that much because I'm using the stronger tool. And then off-market's a great way. So I work with Jameson Commercial Real Estate. It's a partner with Sotheby's International Realty, so we get a lot of exposure that way. But Jameson is known to be the largest off-market commercial property broker out in the market. So you have your big competitors like CBRE out there, a couple other companies I won't go into, and they have lion's share of the market. Then there's us. We work with developers, we work with owners, and we match them together. So if an owner or developer we're talking to says, hey, I'm looking to build some single families, I'm looking to build some multifamilies or some strip malls, here's what I'm looking for in these regions, then we go out and look and see what we can find. We talk to people, we see what we can find, and we bring those people together.
Okay.
So there could be little, like I said, I just mentioned these office. If anybody's looking for an office now, as I said, up in the Highland Park region, I know of 17 condos that could be viable for,
and just
end users.
Thinking about it as we look into like your first deal, and I think I have the answer for this, but are there opportunities for people to invest with groups. So, like, say they don't want to buy necessarily on their own an office space, but there's a group of investors that they could jump in with, or say, I want to invest, a certain amount of money into this group that buys that stuff. Is that?
I mean, that's just a standard deal, right? You pull together a partnership agreement.
Okay.
And you buy a property together.
And
So-
you could do that. That's an option.
Yeah,
so,
you could do that with anything.
If someone's hesitant to do it by themselves, that could be an option.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good option, bad option. It always comes down to the split at the end, right? So
Right.
It sounds like a good option up front. But look, I mean, you're going to be as good as you put in the energy.
Right.
So my advice on this is go small and go solo and do it yourself is the best way to go.
Okay.
Who sells these? So aging landlords are retiring. They're getting out of the business. That's
Right.
exactly what this deal in Highland Park is. The guy's like 80s. He's made a fortune. He made a fortune on buying these things 25 years ago.
Right.
And he's just trying to get out now. So he's like, look, I'll take $4 million. He probably paid 6, 7 for them.
But he's made his money.
But he's made his money. He just wants to get out now.
Right.
And $4 million in your retirement,
Yeah. At
probably
80.
buy a nice yacht. Small
Hugh
business
Hefner.
owners small business owners downsizing. So great example. I've seen this architect office. I went into a building. A guy owned an architecture company. I think he had like 2,000 square feet, and now he's down to 500.
Because everyone's working virtually.
Everyone's working virtually, and he's basically gone to single sole proprietorship.
Okay.
So he doesn't want to manage people anymore. He's just down to a small office.
He's just done.
So he's leasing the stuff out, and he doesn't want to. And so you just go to these people and go, look, I'll buy the whole thing, but you have to move out or find your own place, or you could make him your first tenant if it's already subdivided,
Right.
and just make him sign into a 3 to 5 year commitment, right? Something
Right.
like that. So that's a good way to go. Estate sales and tax defaults also. So people get in over their head, or the taxes raise as they are in Chicago insanely. And people are really struggling with that right now. So
Right.
you'll see people they're living too close to the edge, especially around COVID. They're feeling the pain, right?
Yeah.
So, and tax defaults, if you paid, you didn't pay your taxes on time or something like that, could
Right.
be an issue.
Yeah, they don't mess around with that.
So location tips, you want to look for zoning in like B1, B2. This is Chicago based, by the way. You want to look in business district, commercial district. That's what B1, B2, C1, C2 is the equivalent of in Chicago.
Right.
Each state has their own, and each city maybe even. Suburbs have their different zoning codes and requirements just to keep us on our toes. Can't be simple. But that's why you need a broker who's
Right.
involved in this area. High foot traffic areas, stable neighborhoods equal better tenant retention.
Exactly.
So, I mean, when I lease property at this one facility I represent, Morgan Arts Complex, one of the big things is we tell tenants up front, look, we need to see your financials. We want to see what your business model is. What are your projections? And a lot of people are like, well, we don't have that. And it's like, well, this probably isn't the right place for you.
Right.
Because we want you to be planful. We want you to have a strategy. And we want you to be successful. So the owner, Rick, great guy, very supportive of the business, small business investors. But he's also very, stringent in his requirements. He's like, look, if you're not going to put skin in the game, why do you expect me to put skin in the game?
Right.
Like tenant allowance, a lot of people are coming looking for big numbers on that. And he's like, well, okay, but you're going to have to put a big number into an escrow account. Like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, if I spend $100,000 on your build out and you go bankrupt in 6 months and I have a spa that's vacant, what good is that going to do me? Basically,
Exactly.
I lost $50,000
Exactly.
or more because the rent probably didn't even come close to that. So anyway, you got to be the in the right place with the right tenant, with the right plan, and a good business strategy. And
Exactly.
and by the way, that's the kind of tenant you want. So I'm recommending you do this small business purchase, small commercial property purchase. You look for tenants, and these are the type of attributes that you look for.
Right. And even, it says to avoid locations with heavy turnover, unclear parking. It just brought me back to, there was a Starbucks, on the northwest side, and it was on the corner of Devon and Central, and there was no parking. And I've never seen a Starbucks go out of business or move, but they left the location because you would just be aggravated. You would go to pull up, you couldn't pull up. It was on a major street on both sides. You couldn't double park. The police would give you tickets.
Listen.
Parking's an issue.
This insane administration from Lori Lightfoot to Brandon Johnson, Chicago. Now Brandon's just inheriting some of it, but these aldermen with their great intentions are causing real damage to some of these people with these bike lanes. People used to pull right up in front and park, and now there's no bike lane, no parking, because the bike lane took over the area. That's not doing the retail business any good there. And if there isn't a big public parking area, these people are losing. They're hurting.
You just keep going.
Yeah, and they just did this at Logan Square. They blocked off Kedzie, and they've now turned it all around. It's a big, nice walking area, which is wonderful. But I just wonder who's going to be gathering in this giant concrete walking area.
Right.
Hopefully they have plans, but hope is not a strategy here, and it's typical of the city of Chicago anyway. A lot of things we do are based on hope. Build it and they will come. This property there was parking spaces, 30 of them probably up and down.
Yeah.
They're all gone. So these restaurants, and let me tell you, you cannot park. You cannot park. It's all residential parking in the neighborhood. And the brilliance of it, the alderman sold the parking. There was a parking lot with 200, 300 spots right there. They sold it for a multifamily with no parking spaces in it. It's a TOD, Trans-Oriented Development. So now they took away all the parking.
Right.
Replaced it with a multifamily with 150 new tenants, and took away more parking to provide a open space area.
Right.
So, it's a real situation. You need to look at the zoning for the neighborhood, but you also need to look at the plans
for
your
parking.
Highly uneducated and not strategic public servants. In many cases.
I have no comment.
Cases.
I think also looking at the vacancy, if it's longer than 12 months.
Yeah, vacancy.
Like you said, obsolete build-outs like hair salons, tanning salon, and non-conforming to zoning. I think, you see that all the time. People are stuck with equipment, or they don't know what to do with it. They, something goes belly up. Then the landlord's got to dispose of it, fix it.
Well, non-conforming really is getting into...
no, I'm saying with the obsolete build-outs.
Yeah, obsolete build-outs. Well, it's the salon scenario. But non-conforming means, you have a business in there that isn't in the wrong zoning.
Right.
And it gets very specific. If you have a doggy daycare or something like that, and it's not zoned for that, and somebody starts complaining, that tenant may have signed a lease for 5 years, which sounded great, but they get kicked out because neighbors are complaining.
Right.
It gets very specific. So you got to be
you
careful.
have to do your research on that.
And by the way, my complaint, I want to just tie this loose end up, about bad government is this. When you just elect somebody into a position, you can't expect them to have a education on running a government or a bureaucracy. We should have courses that people have to go through when they get brought into Congress, or as a senator, or as an alderman. There should be a class, I believe. I come out of education environment. Worked at a company that's now part of Korn Ferry. So we did high-level custom education solutions for corporations. And we should have this same thing, I believe. So I'm just getting on my soapbox.
Okay.
For politics. These people get elected, they have no idea what they're doing. And, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you just got to be careful. Know whose neighborhood you're going into if you're getting into this, and make sure they're planful and paying attention.
Okay. No, I think that you're completely right. I think that, our forefathers probably didn't anticipate the situation we're in now, but just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you have...
The situation we're in now is better. than our forefathers
Right.
ever had. We have websites. We could create e-learning that these people could go through in 40 hours before their first week of taking office.
Right.
So it's better than ever. There's no
Okay.
reason we don't have something like this in our legislature. We should force this to happen, along with, term limits as well. By the way.
I agree about term limits.
So
Okay.
you don't think they should be educated, though?
I think they should be educated, but I think they shouldn't live in there like Strom Thurmond till they're 98.
No, I'm talking about both are situations that I don't care if you
Do you
live
know he
there.
was 98? When
Yeah,
he,
I know. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She's rolling around, inebriated, been in office for 40 years.
Strom Thurmond, I think, was in office for 68.
Yeah. Term limits.
Term limits.
Stop letting them raise their own salaries. and
Right.
stop letting them trade insider trading. Let's get it together, people.
Let's get it together.
All right. So
All right.
risk, rewards, and red flags. What can go wrong? Right? I mean, what's the
Right.
first thing you think of, Stephanie?
What can go wrong?
Yeah, first thing. Come on, don't look at the paper.
I think the
Don't be
biggest
cheating.
thing that could go wrong is that you don't set up the lease correctly and that you rent it and you think that it's a good deal and you don't do your research and then you find out you rent it to Skippy the Clown, as you would say.
Skippy the Pinhead.
Then you can't get Skippy out.
Well, okay, lease complexity is certainly there, but you don't want to scare everyone away from the leases.
No, I'm
You
just
could
saying,
craft
do
very
your
good
homework.
leases. Well, I mean, leasing is a good point. You need to have a good lease in place. You need to have caveats in there. You need an experienced broker or lawyer to help you think about the different nuances
Right.
that you want in your lease, right? For sure.
Right.
But vacancy actually is kind of number one. So vacancy you don't want. I'd rather have a bad lease than a vacant property for 2 years, right?
Now, do you think
bad
sometimes when
lease
you
could
look at
cost you.
vacant properties, is it, and I'm just asking the question, I don't know the answer. Is it sometimes the lackadaisical landlord that's made their money and really doesn't care anymore and now is just leaving this and trying to get unloaded and so they don't want any tenants in it because they don't want to deal with tenants? Or is it the other situation where they can't get tenants because of this? Because
Well, I
it's in
mean,
a-
there's 1,000 answers
Right.
to that, right? I mean, I know a guy who owns a 3-flat right on Milwaukee, and he's a friend of your brother and your father, actually. And
I'm scared to ask who.
Yeah,
We don't need
won't
to
go
know.
into it, but his whole building is empty, and it's a 3-flat in a prime real estate. And I worried about his health a couple times. I reached out to try and catch him, but he's still there, and it's vacant. I think he owns a bunch of properties, from what I recollect,
Why is it vacant?
because he can't. He's unstable, and it's just sitting there. And you could find these people bought these properties 40, 50 years ago,
Right.
and they may have forgotten they even own the property. I mean, really, this goes on.
Wow.
So if they don't have accountants and people paying attention to it, and they're just kind of reckless, so you can find good deals with that, but then you have to, build them back up. The other challenge is, vacancies with stuff like COVID, right? Now, it's never going to happen again. All right, we're prepared. That whole thing, I think we've kind of worked that out of our mentality.
I hope.
Let's just knock on wood. You can fool me once and fool me twice.
Yeah.
Shame on you. What did George
Right.
Bush say? What was that great quote he did?
Fool me once, shame on me.
Shame on you. Fool me twice. You're not going to fool me again. I think that's what he said. But anyway.
Gotta love George.
So, being tied into people had vacancy issues when COVID came, and they had no choice. It hit them on the side of the head. They got destroyed by it everywhere. Nobody knew what to do. There were plans to help some people, and I think some people ended up making more money.
Right.
And I heard other stories where people were being told by their landlord, do not pay me rent, because then I'll get paid by the government, and then you'll get paid by the government. So, but, that time I think is beyond us or past us.
Right.
So it's just more vacancies an issue nowadays. Financing risk. So banks underwrite the income. They're not underwriting you. So again, it's a little bit harder, more stringent. If you're trying to buy a property that's vacant, you're going to have a hard time doing that. So you're going to have to, and when you're buying a property with a tenant in it, now you're going to have to pay up. So
Right.
they're going to focus on what's the revenue. So we'll get into that in a minute or two too. Building costs, build out costs. So when you buy and own a commercial property, you have to pay. Well, you don't have to. There's something called TI. It's a term we talked about a little bit earlier.
Right.
It's called tenant improvement allowance. It's typically for new tenants. Well, guess what? You got to pay that out of your pocket. So not only did you pay for the down payment on the building, not only are you paying the monthly rent and the utilities and upkeep and expenses, but now you have to also come out of your pocket for tenant improvement. So you have to be prepared for those situations. And when the lease empties, in 5 years, 10 years maybe, you have to be prepared with an investment ready to go at that time should
Right.
the tenant leave, right? Also zoning and environmental unknowns. So you got to, again, the courtyard situation over in Kedzie. Did you know when you opened up your 3-4 restaurants there, they were going to do this? Now, again, it may be a good thing. I don't know what their full plans are. I'm just kind of throwing it out as an example. Could be the best thing since sliced bread. I'm sure somebody will tell us. But you got to be prepared, and you need a broker who talks to the people in the neighborhood, who has an idea of what's going on, and who can talk to your alderman for you if you're interested in purchasing in a particular area, or at least set up an appointment for you to talk to the alderman.
Right.
Why is it worth it? So again, commercial real estate is worth it because it's a more stable product if you get the right tenants. So a 3 to 10 year term is predictable cash flow for you for, a good time. And if you get a medical office like we were talking about earlier, my great gynecology example, you got 10 years of a stable tenant coming in there, and likely 20.
Oh my God.
Now here's something to understand about your tenant too. Doctors are good doctors. They're not necessarily good business people. So you got to hope that they have a good infrastructure. I'd look into the doctor's office setup. Do they have accountants? Have they been in business? How long have they been there? But you want to look at a credit rating. So with commercial, there's 3 types of credited tenants. There's a nationally credited tenant, which is like a Walgreens.
Right.
There's a regionally credited tenant, which used to be like a Culver's, but I think they've gone to national.
I think they're
Just
national
a good
now.
example.
Yeah.
But a regional is like
Potbellies.
three local states that all touch each other. No, Potbellies is not. It's national.
It's national
now.
now?
Too. Yeah.
Okay.
But good example. It used to be.
Right.
And then there's locally
They
credited
could be
tenants.
a sponsor.
So locally credited tenant, good plug, could be like a daycare center that's local,
Okay.
and they have 5 daycare centers in the Chicago area or just outskirts.
Okay.
So now those all are established businesses that have obviously accounting systems in place, marketing programs, staffing, HR. They have a whole infrastructure so you can be secured. And as a result of that, if you were ever to sell the property, that lease is a security. So when you own a commercial property and you have a lease, if it's written well, very important, and you have the right tenant, you now have a security. What does that mean? Well, the default likelihood, unlike the total fraud situation in the residential market in 2007 and 8 with Freddie Mac, and they're assembling all those loans, that was a fraud.
Yeah.
Those loans were packaged with bad, quote unquote, like leases, but they're just bad ownership deals with owners that didn't have any value to their property and didn't have any marketing revenue coming
Right.
in. This situation is similar. The value is in what's the risk of default on that lease? What are the escalations in that lease? Are you going to be getting more rent each year? Does the mortgage stays consistent? So, and hopefully the operating expenses don't go up unless you have a terrible tax situation. And your rent is going up.
Right.
So your basis is staying at where it is pretty much, but your revenue is increasing. And your lease has a value to it. So you got a great property to sell, and you can sell that asset at maybe an 8 cap or a 9% cap rate. So that's the return on investment. Or the better the cap rate, the better the secured asset, the lower the cap rate. So you'll sell it at a 5 cap, which will be a very high payout for the owner of the property and a higher cost for the buyer of that property. So the higher the higher the interest rate, the lower the value of the property.
Okay.
Okay. Triple net lease. So again, why is it worth it? Triple net lease, zero responsibility for the landlord.
Right.
So not always. There's modified gross leases, which are adaptation of a gross lease, where the landlord might be responsible for the water, for instance. But that's usually on a bigger structure where they can't split off the water meter or something like
Right.
that. But in a small one-unit place, you're probably not going to have that. It's easy to do a triple net lease. And then value add potential. So again, this is the scenario I gave you. Your net operating income is raising because your mortgage rate stays fixed.
Right.
Your costs for operation expenses may be nothing because it's a triple net lease. And so your escalations in the rent go up each year. If you have a 3 or 5% escalation built into the lease, you're making more rent every year. Your basis is lower. You don't have any utility costs. Your winner chicken dinner. So that's why these are great options. Also, you can split a condo. So it's called condo splitting. So it's a bonus tip we'll give you here. You can take a condo and split into a small commercial center to sell off some of the units individually. So when you're talking about that hair care
salon,
situation,
Yeah.
salons, this is the exact situation I was thinking about.
I think that's it's something to look at if you have a big space, subdividing it and
Not even a big space. I mean, those, when I was thinking about in Park Ridge, I think it was like 3,000 square feet, and maybe even 2. And they split it up into like 400 square foot units and got like 8 of them out of there.
yeah.
So no, 5 of them. But there's common areas, so it's probably a little less than that
Right.
for the walkthrough. Next, we'll give you a little case study to give you kind of some perspective on how this might work for a scenario. So we have a property valued at about $475,000. You have a single tenant in the property currently. It's a medical office,
Right.
and it's in a local Chicago suburb with high traffic. So all those check the boxes that you want to check, right?
Yep.
The value is below 600, modest investment. The buyer is a first-time investor, had a multifamily, so they've done this a little bit before. They're looking to get into a little commercial and start building a portfolio there.
Right.
They got a podiatrist who wanted that property and had signed a 7-year lease, and it's a triple net lease.
Right.
So they bought into it at the early end, so you're going to pay
Now,
a higher cap rate.
Before
on
we
it.
go, say again, just because you know what a triple net lease is, what is a triple net lease again?
Triple net lease means the landlord pays nothing. The tenant pays all the taxes, all the utilities, all the common area maintenance.
Okay.
So snow removal, sweeping the hallways, cleaning the parking stalls, maintaining the roof if there's a leak, fixing the HVAC, changing the filters on the HVAC, fixing broken windows, thresholds of the door, whatever it is, the tenant pays everything.
Wow. That's
Now, you will come out of pocket on the tenant improvement allowance.
right.
So, if it's a 5-year triple net lease, you may be paying, and it's $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. So it's $600,000 over the 5 years. You may pay 15% of that back into tenant improvement allowance. So that's $90,000. So you'll be giving the tenant $90,000 up front, by the way. So, again, that's a different scenario, but you will have to come out of pocket for that tenant improvement allowance.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're buying a very secure tenant. Essentially, we call it buying the lease when you pay tenant improvement allowance.
Sounds good.
Financing in this case was 25% down using a SBA 504 loan. 504 loan is very specific. It focuses on fixed assets. So it's equipment or property or enhancement of that property.
Okay.
So you could use it to buy a piece of property. You get a good loan rate. So it's a lower interest rate that's covered by the SBA. But there are conventional lenders for those too. And
Awesome.
apparently VA, which we'll look into. Thanks.
Yeah,
Mike.
we're gonna look into that and get back to you guys on that.
Also, they go below market, if I didn't say it already, on the loans. So
Right.
you get a lower level. The win in this case, stable rent, tenant covers all the expenses. You get appreciation on the property as it's going, and you get appreciation on the lease year by year,
Yeah.
and you get a cap rate compression. So the credit rating of the tenant leads to a higher valuation on the property. So it's a good tenant, doctor's office. It's not as good as a locally credited tenant, but it's a stabilized tenant. You'll be able to sell the property if you want to, or use it as leverage in a loan on another deal.
property. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be property, could be something else's. Now, the challenge, again, as I said earlier, was that this particular doctor's office required ADA upgrades. So the bathrooms had to be enhanced, and they had to do an ADA door entrance, which is several $1,000s at least, and they had to build a ramp. So that cost all with money that you're going to have to come out of your own pocket with.
Right.
So the landlord has to pay that up front. And there's a potential appraisal gap. So the owner thought the valuation was going to come in at some level. They're hoping for like 500. It came in at 450. It was $25,000 below, and they were already down the road with this lender, and they were moving with this potential lease. So they had to eat it and pay 25 grand out of their pocket.
Yep.
That's why you have to have multiple different options available for you for financing.
And I think that just ties into residential too. All these people that are paying these exorbitant amounts for these, even condos. If it doesn't come in, you have to come up with the difference, the appraisal gap price here.
So you need to have multiple options. Plus, it's a dynamic situation. As I said in the last episode, lenders have a threshold that they can loan to.
Right.
And if while you're in the process of buying your house or your multifamily or your small commercial property, they may have hit that threshold and they are not going to turn back. If they say 20% small business loans and they hit it, they're done. They're not going to do anymore. So, talk to your banker about that stuff too.
Exactly.
Try and get them to think, because they won't even think about it. The broker from the bank may not know, or they may know but not talk about it.
Right.
So asking that information, getting tuned in, dialed in, and knowing, should I move quick on this, is also a good plan.
Exactly.
All right, so the Q&A section, one of my favorites here.
Am I
So
gonna
we kind of
ask you
put
the
together a
questions?
bunch of questions, and now I'm going to answer them. Yeah.
Right. Now we're going to play question and answer for 50 points. Can you get this?
Yes.
Can you use an FHA loan for a commercial property?
What do you think? No, you
No.
cannot. Commercial property cannot use FHA, but it can use the SBA 504, which you talked about earlier, for fixed assets, or the SBA 7A, which is more of a general purpose, and I think it's used highly for
Yeah.
purchasing real estate and for enhancing the real estate, but it's also used for general capital purposes as well. So you could buy equipment, you can invest in hiring people, marketing expenses, things like that, if you have a plan, obviously. So yeah, no. And you can do conventional loans for this, but not
Right.
FHA.
I think, though, most residential loan officers don't do commercial, though. But you can do conventional loans.
Most
Residential loan officers.
You don't go to a loan officer. Again, it's like going to a residential loan officer for a commercial property is going to a residential real estate broker for a commercial property.
Exactly.
You're going to end up in mud.
In mud.
Lots of questions unanswered.
All right. For a bonus, 75 points. I have to make this fun. John was up late last night, and he's a little starry-eyed.
3 a.m. Sorry.
Do tenants really pay everything on a triple net lease?
Well, the theory is yes, but you have to look at the lease terms, right? So it all depends on the lease. People could call. These are labels. modified gross, triple net, or labels. It may even say triple net at the beginning of the lease, but if it has a clause in there saying you have to pay for parking or cleaning or maintenance of something,
Or the HVAC.
or you're not paying for those in that case, because you're the landlord, you're getting hit because parking is not included, and you have to pay to maintain the parking lot. Well, that's not a triple net lease.
And in Chicago, that includes like snow removal, things like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And roofing, and could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
HVAC.
isn't really for money because you can't really. But how do the values of vacant properties get determined?
Well, we're working on one right now, and the guy came up with this crazy scenario, and you'll run into this. He took the rent, which is I think
But he doesn't have any rent?
$18 a square foot, and he halved it to $9. And I think what he's doing ultimately is he's
Is he
valuing
selling or buying?
selling.
Okay.
He's valuing it at half the value of a lease.
Okay.
But he's not saying it that way. He should just say 50% of the value of the lease. So if you're buying it and it's 1,000 square feet and it rents for $20 a square foot, that would be $240,000 value for a year. But we're valuing it at $120 because it's vacant.
Okay.
Does it make
And
sense?
is that normal? How do you usually do it?
Well, I'd say that it's, I would look at it over a scale. So if it's only been vacant, well, if I'm the buying broker, I'm looking at it at the deepest discount I could get.
Right.
So I'll put it at minimum 50% or less if it's over 12 months or to 24 months. Or if the trend in that market is that vacancies are lasting that long, then I'll push for that. But if I'm
Okay.
the selling broker, I'm going to use a model more like this. If it's been vacant for 6 months, I'll give you a 25% discount rate on it. If it's vacant for 12 months or more, up to, let's say, 2 years, I'll give it 40% vacancy. At 2 years, I'll give you 60%, right? Something's really wrong in that situation. You have to look, if property's vacant that long, you got to look at it harder and decide. It can be a difficult decision. We're not talking about, I'm talking more about complex properties. This doesn't really apply to
Right.
the small single unit structures. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So key takeaway. This is the end of the session. Thank you for participating.
Thank you so
Again,
much.
thanks for putting up with my low energy. I was up, as I said, I got 4 hours sleep, so a little off my A game here.
And so what's happening at the fraternity house?
With the boys, just chaos. No, I'm working on a big project to pull together this new company, sorting out all kinds of data, writing computer code, and it wasn't cooperating, using artificial intelligence, which ChatGPT was very, very bad to me. Very bad to me, the best.
And have you
12
been
hours.
feeding the boys, all three of them?
The boys are there, and I'm trying to feed them. Alex is here for another week.
Still no answers.
No, I'm fucking sorry. No, it's very frustrating. It's like talking to a wall. I'm just taking him out to restaurants at this point. I'm like, we're going here. We're going here. He's like a robot. He'll basically follow me wherever I lead him. So that's kind of been what we've been going through. We went to a great Italian restaurant in Logan Square last night. Brett went out with his friends after work, came in raggedy, and left raggedy this morning. About as raggedy as I feel now with no sleep. But he dumped all our clothes out on the table, like forcing me to fold everything.
Who did?
Brett.
Oh.
In his rage this morning. His rage as he's going to work with zero. Well, I think he got a pretty good amount of sleep, but he had a few cocktails after work. So
And he had nothing
he wanted
to wear?
me to drive him this morning. I'm like, no.
No.
It's 45. It's 15 minutes to drive him there, which I
Right.
usually do on Mondays and Fridays. It's 45 minutes back.
Well, then,
45 minutes.
and in the
to
rain,
go like
no
4
way.
miles.
No way.
In the rain, even worse. So I'm like, no, buddy, I'm not doing it. And he
So he
doesn't-
dumped the clothes out in protest?
I imagine there's rage going on. It's my vision of,
And he can't talk
Right,
Alex
right.
into driving him?
God, no. Alex doesn't get up till 12:30.
Oh,
You
that would
wouldn't
be
want
it.
Alex driving you. I was up till 3. Alex came home at 2.
Oh,
hanging out with his buddies. But he was good. The kid stays up all. He does not drink or anything.
Okay.
It wasn't hazy-eyed. Didn't smell
Okay.
anything in particular.
Well, good to
Didn't smell
know.
particularly good either. But he
Well, it's the shoes, I think. Right.
didn't
Right.
smell of drugs or paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia.
So
nice.
anyway, all's good there.
Good.
And I love having him home. So as much as I'm tired and exhausted by it, I love it, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
And maybe
So-
he'll make a decision before he leaves. Then.
I don't think so. It's not going to happen. I think 2 more years of lack of decision is going to. Now Brett's totally like, he's making lots of decisions. Now a lot of them are bad, poor decisions, but nonetheless they're decisions. But what happened in your life? Let's not talk about only me here.
Oh God, what is going on? Riley moved in her condo.
Oh yeah,
Yay.
no, we're way beyond that.
I know.
What happened this week?
What happened this week?
Danny had she doesn't even remember.
Oh yeah, Danny had a
Her
birthday.
son has a birthday.
That was yesterday.
What did you
Wasn't
get him?
this-
When you asked me the day
I
before,
just gave him money.
what gift you were going to get him?
Money.
Yeah. She tried to buy him a watch. I was like, nope. Sorry, Danny.
That's a
You got to have an achievement. before
have an
you get a nice
achievement to get a watch.
No watch for you. You could have got him a swatch.
I could have got
You
him
still
a
have
watch.
those?
Yeah, he has my dad's actually old Swiss Army watch.
Yeah.
So
all you're getting
if
till
he
you
didn't
get-
lose it, and
some
then
sort of
Emily got
accomplishment.
straight A's in school.
Wow.
That was good.
That's nice. Good
And
job, Emily.
Good job, and she's
You get an
going.
F in your social media contract with
Stop.
Show Me Out podcast.
Oh my
Just
God.
kidding. Just kidding.
We
You're
love
wonderful.
Emily. All right, let's wrap this up.
All right, we're wrapped. I don't know what to say. So wait.
you're
Start small.
small.
So here are the key takeaways.
Yep.
Start small.
Yep.
Don't go big. Make it easy. Get into it. Dip your toe into it. You don't want too much stress. Make sure you have a long runway in case there's vacancies, stuff like that.
Make
Lease
sure
type,
you have a good broker.
great broker, not good
Yeah.
broker. Good brokers are hard to find too, but great brokers are even harder. Paladin Real Estate Investment. It's me. Lease types. So make sure you have a good lease type.
Yep.
Make sure you have a strong lease. Make sure your tenant has strength. And if these things are all true, those equal a good cap rate, which equals gold.
Yeah.
You'll be making money for 3 to 10 years very nicely without doing anything. Not lifting a finger.
And what are you going to give them? We'll put on the website. What are some of the freebies?
We'll get a cap rate calculator out there and a lease structure cheat sheet for you.
Yes.
And then a small commercial deal cheat sheet. And I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything else comes up, we'll put them on there. If we get news on the VA opportunity for small
we'll
commercial
get that out
properties, we'll
there.
let you know.
And go to the showmehowpodcast.com for anything you might need.
And start with one small storefront, and we'll build from there and turn you into a real estate empire.
And
Thank you so much.
Sign up for our newsletter on the Show Me How podcast. It's right on the front page. And we'll keep you up to date on all the ins and outs, behind the scenes stuff. And we'll show you pictures of Grizzly at the park.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and tell all your friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you.